Opening words for today are by Wendy Cope, or Cope. At lunchtime, I bought a huge orange, the size that made us all laugh. So I peeled it and shared it. 1/4 for Dave and 1 for Robert, and I got a half. Well, that orange made me very, very happy. So, as ordinary things often do, just lately, the shopping, the walk in the park, this is peace and contentment. It's new. The rest of the day was quite easy. I did all the jobs that I needed to do, and there's a little time left over. I love you, and I'm glad I exist. Our opening hymn today is number 349, one you might remember. We gather together, so please rise in body or in spirit.
Welcome to First Parish in Bedford, a Unitarian Universalist congregation where we come together every week as a people with diverse beliefs and a shared commitment to bring more peace, more love, more justice, and more pumpkin pie into the world. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whether you worship one God, many gods, or no God, you are welcome here. I want to say a special welcome to all of our visitors this morning in person and out in the Zoomosphere. We're so glad you are with us. If you are in our sanctuary, you are invited to fill out a blue connection card, which you'll find in the backs of the pews. You can give it to one of the ushers during the offering or leave it at one of the membership table. We will add you to our mailing list so you don't miss out on any First Parish events. In Zoom, we will put a link in the chat. You can fill that out as your virtual connection card. Parents and caregivers of little ones, there's a nursery available downstairs for your convenience, but we are always delighted to have little ones here with us in our sanctuary as well. After the service, there will be coffee, tea, and fellowship in the common room. Everyone is welcome to join us. There's also a quiet space available to gather upstairs in room 201, and there's a Keurig up there as well for coffee and tea. I want to draw your attention to the announcements section of our order of service so you don't miss out on any important information. Please check them out. I have just a few additional announcements. When you are in the common room after the service enjoying your coffee and tea and fellowship, you will notice there's also a caring table. That is a place with cards set out for some of our members who may need a little extra TLC or just a friendly hello. You can stop by the caring table and fill out one of those cards and add to the caring and connectedness of our community. Also, after the service, a member of our lay pastoral care team will be over at the candle stand if you want to light a silent candle of joy or concern. We're not doing our usual joys and concerns ritual service, but there will always be someone at the stand after the service so you can light a candle for something that is on your heart. And then finally, just a reminder, our office is closed on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. That is all of our announcements, so if you will please rise again now, we will share our unison affirmation, which is in your order of service. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley. Este es nuestro gran pacto, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en espíritu de amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros. Please be seated.
Good morning. Ooh, wow. Everyone's awake. Wow, I like that. This is a story about being grateful. It's called Thank You Anyways. Harold Henderson's day began the way no one wants their day to begin, with an alarm clock that sounded like a marching band had invaded his bedroom. Blah, bah, 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 bah. He groaned and slapped that offending device, knocking it off the nightstand and onto the floor. And rolling out of bed, Harold muttered, "Well, I guess thank you for the mornings." His hair was a chaotic masterpiece of bedhead, and his pajama shirt was somehow both backward and inside out. And shuffling into the kitchen, Harold's spirits lifted slightly as the smell of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. "Ah, perfect," Harold said. He reached for the milk, but before he could grab it, whoosh, something furry darted past his legs. "Whisker Bottom!" Harold yelled at his cat as it performed a trip maneuver, weaving between Harold's feet like a ninja in fur. The coffee splashed, landing on the counter and the floor and Harold's slippers. Mr. Whiskerbottom hopped onto the counter, licking his paw as if to say, "Well, I'm innocent." Harold stared at the mess. "You've got to be kidding me." He grabbed a towel and sighed. "Well, I guess thank you, Mr. Whiskerbottom, for reminding me I had to mop today. And thank you for not spilling on my pajamas like last time." The cat yawned dramatically and wandered off, as cats do. The chaos continued as Harold got stuck in a traffic jam, moving slower than a herd of turtles. Ooh, geez, of turtles. Up ahead, a garbage truck lumbered along, stopping every few feet. Harold grumbled under his breath until he noticed a little boy on the sidewalk, waving. The truck driver, with a cheerful honk, doo, smiled. Harold couldn't help but smile as well. "All right, garbage truck. Thank you for making that kid's day." And at work, things didn't improve. His email inbox was overflowing, and smack in the middle was a message from Mr. Humphrey, his most demanding client. The email subject screamed, "Urgent, your error." Harold groaned and began to type an equally loud reply, but stopped halfway through. He remembered that Mr. Humphrey's dog had been sick recently. Maybe the man wasn't just cranky, but maybe he was having a rough day as well. So Harold erased his fiery response and wrote a kind, patient one instead. "Thank you, Mr. Humphrey," he said quietly, "for reminding me to breathe and consider others." By the time Harold's workday ended, he was ready for something fun. He planned a picnic with his daughter and her kids and packed a basket full of sandwiches and cookies and all the good stuff. But as soon as he arrived at the park, the sky opened up, dumping buckets of rain. His daughter pulled up beside him and rolled down her window and said, "Plan B, I guess." Plan B turned out to be a cozy diner down the road where Harold and his grandkids devoured enormous stacks of pancakes. Sticky syrup dripped down their fingers as they giggled, and Harold's attempt at balancing a blueberry on his nose, which I can do actually, that's why it's in the story. "This is way better than soggy sandwiches," Harold said. "Thank you, rain, for pancakes." And later that evening, Harold returned home, tired but somehow lighter. He flopped onto the couch, and Mr. Whiskerbottom immediately claimed his lap, curling up into a purring ball of fluff. Harold scratched the cat behind his ears, chuckling softly, "You're lucky you're cute." The rain tapped gently on the windows, and for the first time all day, the house felt peaceful. "Today was a lot," Harold said aloud. "But thank you for being a little ridiculous, and thank you for giving me the things to laugh about tomorrow." Whiskerbottom stretched and settled deeper in his lap, and Harold leaned back, closing his eyes with a contented sigh. It hadn't been a perfect day, not even close, but somehow it was enough.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about hope. A big surprise hit America about a couple of weeks ago, and a dark humor seemed to spread across everything. What are we going to do? This is probably the worst thing that's ever happened in the life of our country. The end of the world, some thought. But it doesn't have to end that way, because history doesn't stop. There's no end to history. It keeps going on. No, I grew up just not too far away from here in Lexington, and you can't hide from history in Lexington. You walk by it every day. Every darn school is named after somebody in the War for Independence. I went to Hancock School. Other people went to Monroe. And that's when I started learning about history. I had a friend even who thought the British were still mortal enemies. He kept that belief until he was 12. Well, anyway, I started to get a little more serious about history in high school. Really hit it off well and had a course in international problems. That was what we taught in high school. And I got started thinking about the foreign service as a possible career path. Now that sounded pretty darn good. You get to live in another country, you get to do different things, solving problems, helping people. The yearbook even pegged me to be the first ambassador out of Mongolia. Now, I don't know if that was a slam or a kudo, but I kind of walked around thinking, well, maybe I'll get to be an ambassador, who knows? Well, off to college, and I took a good deal of international type programs, Japan and China, India, Europe, the history of conflict, the history of resolutions. And all through that time, it was focused on getting in the foreign service. I figured I was a natural. Well, I got accepted into a two-year master's degree at the University of Denver. Now, Denver is way out of my comfort league. I'm not a good skier. I can't breathe well at 1 mile above sea level. But I started getting more comfortable, and I got worked into my own comfort range. Started out strong, it was all on cruise control, getting good grades, foreign service, AID, UN, perhaps teaching at a college level. Those are what I was after. Well, I couldn't pass the damn German test. You had to have a working knowledge of one foreign language, and you had to translate some document. And I said, oh gosh. So I tried it once, and I tried it twice, and you get 3 shots. I don't know if anybody else has experienced this before, but I knew I wasn't going to do it without some help. So I signed up for BU for summer school in German. And that was about as good as it was going to get. Because there I met really kind of an interesting woman. Very attractive, very personable, sophomore at Barnard. We started dating. She lived quite a distance from me, but we made our way through it. And she even passed the mountain hike test. She climbed up to the Lake of the Clouds on Mount Washington. And as Maria would tell you, that's one of and Rebecca too for that matter, that's one of the tests for being a good person. Well, riding back and forth, Denver to New York, all this while finishing up on my degree. It was going along just great. She came out for an 8 or 10 day vacation in Denver. She'd never been there. And we had a great time. And then she died. She had a brain aneurysm. There was no way to get out of it. She died. After the funeral, I tried to be a normal person back at school, but I felt like going away from me, not towards me. There wasn't much comfort or guidance. One friend of mine made a pretty nasty joke out of it, and I didn't talk to him too much after that. Pass a German test? I don't think so. Just forget it. What is it I most want to do? What is it I most want to take care of? What is the part that I want to use to ease the pain? To find hope in something. To do something to make the world just a little better, make it a little more positive in memory of Anne and as part of my own gift. Well, I finished up all the coursework, and then I applied to the Peace Corps. I was accepted, joined 95 other adventurous souls to become the Panama Group 13, December 1966. We shared the hope as this phase of life took hold. A phase in life. A short poem by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be just one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then I took the other, just as fair, and having perhaps a better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that was passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept that first for another day, yet knowing how it leads, one thing leads to another, I doubted if I should ever come back. I should be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, someone, ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in the woods. And I took the one less traveled by. And that made all the difference.
This community of care and connection is supported by the people who choose to co-create it week after week in so many ways, by acts of volunteerism, by the sharing of time and talent and energy, by sharing our stories, by the simple gift of showing up week after week to be with each other, witnessing to each other's joys and sorrows, to inspire and encourage one another. We also support this community by sharing of our financial resources, and so every Sunday at First Parish we take an offering to support the ongoing life of this community. I invite you to give freely as you are able. The offering will now be taken. May it be joyfully given. In this service of thankfulness, I am very thankful for the youth choirs for sharing their beautiful music with us today, and all of our very talented musicians here at First Parish. There's a poem, a short little poem that some UU ministers have been sharing on the internet of late, and I liked it enough that I've shared it in a couple of different places my own self. Spoiler alert, you're going to see it in the Parishioner in a couple of days here, but I'm going to also share it here with you. It's by a poet named Iris Rose. They say nobody is coming to save you. But many people have saved me, even if they didn't intend to. It can be as small as a smile from a stranger, a nudge from an animal, words from a writer, the lyrics to a song, an observant friend. We are all saving each other every single day in tiny, seemingly insignificant ways. And to this I would add that we are also saved, I think, by a world that is abundant, superabundant with beauty and wonder, whose fathomless depths of mystery and meaning and delight we are continuously uncovering with our senses, with our intelligence, with our instincts. There is so much in this world to wonder at and to take joy in, whether it is oranges, pancakes, cats, pumpkin pie. There's a very famous poem called The Summer Day by the poet Mary Oliver. Maybe you've heard of her. And I'm going to share this with you. It says, The Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is, the poet continues. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, she asks, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? I think we are saved a little bit when we can take time to pay attention like that and to say thank you. And gratitude is the spiritual practice of noticing and saying thank you. And it is just exactly as simple as that, noticing and saying thank you. And gratitude is one of the most powerful spiritual practices, it turns out, over time. It opens our hearts. It strengthens us and gives us courage. It makes us resilient. It leads us into greater depths of compassion. Science studies consistently show that gratitude is correlated with happiness, with health, with resilience, with positive relationships. Gratitude can heal us. It can be a source of healing in a world that surely offers us our share of hurts as well. So I spent the summer of 2019 in a hospital in Avon, Indiana. Wasn't there as a patient, I was serving as a chaplain. Because it turns out one of the requirements of becoming a Unitarian Universalist minister, which is what I was doing at the time, one of the requirements is that you do 400 hours of service as a chaplain in a hospital. This was something that I entered into without a lot of knowledge and with a fair amount of trepidation, I'm going to be honest. This was not something that I was looking forward to. It had been my good fortune up to that point to be able to say I had not spent a lot of time in hospitals. It was an unfamiliar setting. It was a setting I associated with badness, right? My assumption was that every patient in a hospital is not very happy to be in a hospital. I was not going to be on the maternity ward. I was going to be in the intensive care unit. And people are there in that unit because they are sick, maybe very sick. People would be in distress. People would be facing death or dying. So I went into my chaplaincy experience sort of braced for the idea that I was going to be encountering a lot of unhappiness, and I needed to be prepared for that. And what surprised me about my time in chaplaincy, my biggest learning, was that mostly I encountered the opposite. So in the first place, hospitals are not just places of illness, they are places of healing. And while not everyone and not all things can be healed, it turns out that doctors and nurses are mostly amazing, and the people at the hospital I served got exceptionally good and compassionate care. But here's the other thing. What I encountered in the hospital was a tremendous amount of resiliency. My job, for the most part, was to go into other people's rooms and sit with them and just be with them and talk to them if they wanted to talk. And what people talked about, more often than not, was everything that they were grateful for. They talked about little joys and big joys. They talked about family visits. They talked about friends. They talked about the books they were reading. They talked about the flowers on the table. And then they talked about what they loved to do, what they were looking forward to, what they remembered fondly. People in the hospital, in the midst of their illness, in the intensive care unit, were for the most part upbeat, positive, grateful. And the other thing that I remember very well is that I would typically offer to pray with the person that I was visiting. Sometimes they wanted to, sometimes not. But I would always ask them if there was anything special that they wanted me to pray for. And more often than not, what they said was, please pray for the people around me. Please pray for all of the other people in this hospital. So what I encountered in the hospital every day and room after room was gratitude. People at the hospital were good at gratitude, and what it moved them to was compassion. Please pray for all of the people around me. It moved them to compassion. And also, it must be admitted, while we're talking about all of the complexity around this idea of gratitude, that gratitude is also sometimes used to avoid acknowledging and dealing with the hurts that the world hands out, because it can be hard to deal with our own vulnerability and the vulnerability of others. And so a phrase like, count your blessings, can be used as a helpful reminder in hard times to open up to gratitude. It can also be used to shut down any honest acknowledgement of our pains, right? When count your blessings is a command, an admonishment, right? You've probably heard the phrase toxic positivity at this point. This is what we're getting at, right? Keep a stiff upper lip. Count your blessings. Look at the bright side. These are almost never helpful things to say to someone who is in distress, right? The magic phrase, cheer up, has cured 0 cases of depression as far as I know. And when we find ourselves saying these things, which we do, or when someone is saying them to us, which they do, it is almost always because they're struggling to simply sit with whatever hard thing is in the room. It is hard to sit with pain or sadness or hard things and simply be, right? We want to fix things. We want to make the hurt go away. We want the person we are with to be invulnerable, and we want ourselves to be invulnerable. And most of the time, what we really have to offer in these situations is just our presence. Just our presence, just to be. Our willingness to be and to listen, and our compassion. Which is to say, oftentimes, the most helpful thing we have to offer someone who is struggling is precisely our own vulnerability. And here's the connection to gratitude. A gratitude practice builds up our own resilience so that we can, in fact, be more comfortable experiencing our own vulnerability and more comfortable experiencing the vulnerability of others. And that means we can be more honest with each other, we can be more real with each other, and we can be better healers to one another. And so gratitude is a gateway to compassion and healing for ourselves and for others. The human experience is for life to be a mix of joy and sorrow, right? Wonder and worry, meaning and caprice. It is good and honest to acknowledge all of those things, which is why we have a time for sharing joys and concerns most Sundays in our services. And that time is one of the most meaningful expressions of what this religious community means. And it's one of our most meaningful expressions of our intention to journey together in our humanness, in the fullness of our humanness, right? Our gratitude and our grumbling. In this context, I have to say that one of the things that I most appreciate about the Jewish religious tradition is that in Judaism, it is perfectly acceptable to yell at God, to complain to God, to argue with God, to call God out for God's shortcomings. This is the religious tradition of lament, a way of saying, no, thank you. Thank you not at all for this thing, in fact. I do not want it. And then in the midst of lament, even in the midst of lament, we can sing those songs of wonder and gratitude. We are permitted as humans to be gratefully grumbling and grumblingly grateful. And in that mix and in that balance and in that journey is everything that being human is about. We're entering the Thanksgiving season. It's a wonderful time for family and friends to come together and share in abundance and express our gratitude and our appreciation for all the good things we have. And I am also sure that there are some things, particularly this year, that we may not be thankful for at all. And that is okay. And I hope you will make space to be real about those things where you would like to say, no, thank you. And then in that context, I hope you will remember that prayer of paying attention. Right? I don't know how to pray, but I do know how to pay attention. That prayer of paying attention to the loveliness that the world still has to offer, big and small. I hope you will make time to pay attention to all of those little ways in which we are saved. Now, the Iroquois people have a traditional prayer of thanksgiving. It is called the Haudenosaunee Address, that expresses gratitude in a long litany of thanks to the earth, to our plant and animal kin, to the Creator, to creation. You can find this poem on the internet. You can also find it spoken on the internet, which is very powerful. And the Haudenosaunee Address includes these lines in some variations. It says to us, "Let us pile up our thanks like a heap of flowers on a blanket. We will each take a corner and toss it high into the sky, so our thanks should be as rich as the gifts of the world that shower down upon us." Right? Pile our gratitude like a heap of flowers on a blanket, toss them in the sky, and let them shower down upon us. So we're going to take a moment now, before we close out our service today, to pile up our thanks together, and then we're going to toss them in the air. So I invite you for a few quiet seconds to just breathe and think about the things for which you are grateful. Right? We're going to take about 30 seconds, and I invite you to think about those things for which you are grateful, like you're putting flowers on a blanket. What are the gifts you receive? Let's just take about 30 seconds and think about that. Now, let's take another 30 seconds or so, because how many flowers can you pile on a blanket in such a short amount of time, really? I invite you to pile some more flowers on that blanket. What are you grateful for? Let's take another 20 seconds. And now, let's take like 10 more seconds. Because there's so much stuff in the world, and maybe you forgot something, right? Like chocolate, how babies smell, the sound of rain, aspirin. Maybe you forgot something. So let's just take like 10 more seconds in case, right? Throw those flowers on that blanket. Okay, maybe by now we've piled up a respectable number of things on the blanket. We're going to toss them into the air. So I invite people to just say into the space some of the things that you're grateful for. In Zoom, you can put them in the chat. We're just going to take a few seconds and name some of those flowers we're tossing in the air. What are we grateful for? Just say it out in the space. Family, our new dog, coffee, artists and creators and music, grass, lawns, the sunlight coming through these windows, that chandelier and how beautiful it is, this community. All those flowers raining down. Friends, let us be generous in our outpouring of thanks. Let us take time to pay attention. And then let us be generous in caring for the world and generous in caring for one another. Blessed be, and amen. Our closing hymn today is number 1010, We Give Thanks, and Natan is going to help us lead it. It's in your teal hymnal. And I'll let Natan tell you when to rise in body or spirit.
We'll sing it twice together, and then for the third time, we will do a call and response. So I will sing, "Oh, we give thanks," and then Sandra and Lisa will lead the other side in a response, "Oh, we give thanks." So 3 times total, twice together, once call and response. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered. We give thanks for this precious day. We're all gathered here for this far away. For this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
And now we extinguish the flame of our chalice, but not the light of understanding, the warmth of compassion, or the fire of commitment. Let us keep those with us until we meet again, and until then, stay safe, stay connected, take care, and take care of one another. Go in love, go in gratitude, go in peace.